like I said, I'll be doing the 3-part drill, the visual, the auditory, and the blending. We'll also show you how to do a red word that we've been doing. But this correlates with the U-Fly lessons, and I'll walk you through the U-Fly map because the U-Fly lesson, you can set it up a little differently, which is all on the computer. Like she said, you could use your slide deck, and you can go through that using your, is it pronounced Aquas throughout the day. However, the only part I feel that's lacking through that is really the kinesthetic, the textile piece. So you can use that, pushing the buttons on the screen, having the kids use whiteboards, or having pages in sheet protectors and write on, but then you're missing some of the kinesthetic piece. So you can go back and see what works for you. Again, this is systematic, explicit phonics instruction. So I had been a teacher for probably 15 years before I had this training, and I was there with a kindergarten teacher, and we looked at ourselves and we were like, why have we never heard this before? Like, this makes sense. When kids can't read, I can't just be pulling out word work, here or there, and making that stick, that this makes sense to build upon each other. So the lesson I'm going to be demoing with you today is the SH digraph. It's early on in the scope and sequence for first grade. Now my friend's here, my friend Anna Lee, she's going into 3rd grade, and I just met my friend Vince here that's going to help us out today, and he's going into 2nd grade, is that right? Okay. So a lot of this they probably already know, but we have to go on the map as to what they've already been taught. So when we get to the SH digraph, they've already been taught all the consonants, the consonant blends, and short vowels. So that's what they know at this point that we're building on, okay? To give you some background knowledge, okay?
You want me to pull up the SH lesson? I have it on.
How about when we finish here, I'll just go through the 3-part drill and then we'll do that. Perfect. All right, any questions before we get started? Okay, I'm going to set the mic down. Oh, okay. Do you want me to move this over? Okay. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Are you doing well, Annalie? Great day. She's had Starbucks this morning. Her dad stopped and got her Starbucks. She's ready to go. And Vince, you look all slicked up, spiffy for the day, ready to go?
Just fresh out of a swim lesson.
Fresh out of swim lesson.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Sounds like a way to spend the summer. So today we're going to start with our visual drill. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the card. You're going to tell me just the letter sound. You do not need to name the letter. You tell me just the sound it makes, okay? And remember, we have just worked on short vowel sounds. Are we ready? Okay, Miss Annalie, can you start us off? Great. Now the S can make the S sound, but we also learned that S can make another sound. Do you remember the other sound that S can make? It can when it goes with the H. That's right. Annalie, can you help them out? What other sound does S make? Z. That's right. It can make the Z sound like in the word is. Good. Great. Exactly. Remember the SS. And Annalie, where do we find SS? We find SS where?
At the end of the word or syllable when there's only one vowel.
Exactly. We find the SS at the end of the word or syllable when there's only one vowel. Great job. How about this one? Oh, and we also, where do we find it?
At the end of this word or syllable when there's only one vowel.
Great. And where do we find the FF? At
the end of the word.
Syllable when there's only one vowel, right. And where do we find that?
At the end of the word or syllable when there's only one vowel.
Exactly. And Annalie, what are the 4 letters that we have to double? What did we do to remember that? Sammy
loves friendly zebras.
Sammy loves friendly zebras. And we know then that those are used at the end of a word or syllable when there's only one vowel. Great. How about CK? What does the CK say? That's right. The CK comes together. It's also a digraph. The C and the K come together to make one sound. And Annalie, do you remember where we put the CK?
The end of the word.
Or syllable when there's only,
One vowel.
exactly. And you also know if there's two vowels, what do we use instead?
K.
We just use a K, exactly. So those are things we've already been taught. They've already learned those. So that was the visual part of our drill. We're going to move and use these same cards to do the auditory practice. So now they're going to put this into practice. They've said the sounds, but now when I say the sounds, they're going to show me in the sand kinesthetically what letters spell those sounds, okay? Are you ready for that? All right, get our hands dirty. This is a special magical sand. It's kind of weighted, so you can order this online. I like to use the trays with the lids to keep it all protected. You may use paper plates, trays. You could use sandpaper. You could use shaving cream on cookie sheets, something like that. The only thing about the sandpaper is they can't actually see the letters that they're writing. They're seeing them as they write them themselves, but then you can't see them. They're left behind. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So, I'm going to demonstrate first. In the sand, we always write our letters lowercase letters, okay? After we write the letter, we need to put a line for the letter to sit on, because just like we set our bottoms in a chair, where do our letters need to sit? On the lines, exactly. So, Mrs. Cobbler, what is the letter that makes the B sound? And I would say, starting at the top, because we always start letters from the top to bottom, I would say B says B. And as I'm saying that, I write the letter from top to bottom and put my line from left to right, just like I'm reading through a letter or a word. So again, I can shake that sand. Mrs. Cobbler, what letter makes the B sound? Say it with me. B says B. Great. Okay? All right, let's try one here together. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the letter that makes the sound?
O says
Excellent. Great job. You can clear your sand just by giving it a little shake. Great. All right, how about A says A says A. Great job. Clear it.
U says
Again, just like the other previous teacher talked about, quick as you move. All right, go ahead and clear it. And next we need E. E says E. Exactly. Great. Clear it. Next one, I. I says it. Great job. Okay, here we go. We're going to clear our sand. We're going to do something a little different here. Okay, what we need to do now is we are going to put 2 lines in our sand. So we want 3 boxes to be able to write in. So we're going to do lines from top to bottom, and we'll have 3 boxes to write in. This time what I need to know, there are 3 different ways that we've learned to make the S sound. So in the first box, we're going to write the first letter together that makes the S sound. What is the first letter, Annalie? S says S. So we would write that in our first box. And is there another letter that can say S? C, exactly. So in our middle box, we'll write C says S. And in our last box, we talked about Sammy loves friendly zebras. So what are we going to put that in there? SS. Great. Go ahead. S says S. So this way we know that we have 3 different ways to make the S sound. Excellent job. Go ahead and clear that sand for me again, please. This time I just need 1 line down the middle for me, 1 line straight down the middle, and I need the 2 different ways to make the F sound. And we always start our letters from the top to the bottom. You do? What is it?
There's one that's PH.
That's right, but guess what? you've already learned that ready for second grade, but we haven't learned that yet at this lesson. But you are ready for that. Excellent job. So, Annalie, what was the one that you wrote? F. So and remember, we always started at the top. We make our fish hook, come around, down, and cross. There's also a great resource in your U-Fly book for letter formation if you have question on that, but always emphasizing top to bottom. All right, and then again, we had Sammy Loves Friendly Zebras. So what are we going to put in the second box, Vince? FF. Go right ahead. F says, and say it as you write it. F says F. Exactly. Again, once they know this and they have the routine, we fly right through this, okay? Go ahead and clear your sand for me, please. Okay, here we go. We're gonna have 2 lines again. Here's a tricky one. Let's see if I can get you. All right, 2 lines for me. Great. I need the 3 ways to make the Z sound. First way is Z says Z. There's another letter that can make the Z sound. S says Z. And Sammy Loves Friendly Zebras. And ZZ says Z. I would not be giving all these clues once we were in the rhythm of things. Great. Clear it for me. We have S, S, L, L, F. Great. And we have one last one. Here we go. 2 lines for me, please. And I need the 3 ways to make the K sound. K. What's the first letter that can say? C says K. And Annalie, what are the vowels that follow a C when it makes the K sound? A, O, and U, like on the cat chart. And there's a chart mounted there that talks about that. All right, Vince, do you know another letter that can make the K sound? K. K, exactly. K says K. And on the kite chart, do you remember the vowels that follow a K? E-I-Y, exactly. And finally, there's one at the end of the word that we just learned last week that's a digraph, 2 letters together. And Vince, what are they? C-K. And we say that as we write it. Say it with me, Annalie. C-K says K. Great job. Okay, perfect. We did it. Thumbs up. Great. All right, you guys can put your lids back on there for me, please. And we'll clamp that shut so none of our sand escapes. And we're gonna move right into the blending board, okay?
Just a real quick reminder about sand. You can use like a paper plate for the sand and then just keep all of it together in a bin. So when I went through my training, that's what we used. We used to use, I don't recommend the really cheap paper plates. China paper plates work really, really well though. And then you can get sand relatively cheaply, and then you can just put their sand trays in. It doesn't matter whose is whose, they just get it out and use it during that same time.
Okay, we're using the same cards that we had in our lesson. This is our blending board. Especially in kindergarten, you might just want to start with the vowel consonant team as you're trying to teach them to blend those sounds together. But since we're where we are in our lesson, which is beginning of 1st grade, we're going to use CVC. This is important not only to use real words, but nonsense words, because syllables come from nonsense words. So it's just as important that they can sound those out as real words. So we're going to start. We've spent a lot of time with our ending blends, so or our digraphs and ending blends and so forth. So we're really going to focus in on that today. That's going to be the bulk of our lesson. So Miss Annalie, as you know, we're going to give me sound, 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 and blend together. Are you ready? Okay, go ahead.
Sock.
Exactly, sock. Great job. All right. Next, we're going to move our endings, here. So you can choose, but only choose one to change. Do not intermittently, I think I'll pick the beginning, the middle, the end. Choose one to focus on. And since we were working on these endings that we had just worked on learning Sammy Loves Friendly Zebras last week, that's what I'm choosing to move. Okay? All right, here we go. Vince?
Sauce.
And is sauce a real word or a nonsense word? It is a real word, like sauce, like spaghetti sauce, exactly. It is spelled a little differently, so we can give that kind of a middle, a real word and a nonsense word, because it sounds like a real word, but that's not quite the way we spell it, right? Okay, next. Sol. Is Sol a real word, or a nonsense word, or somewhere in the middle? A nonsense word. All. Sol is a nonsense word. Vince? Soft. Is soft a real word or a nonsense word? Nonsense word. Great. Saws. Is saws a real word or a nonsense word? Nonsense word. Great job. So you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of how we can do that. You can move through your vowels as well if you want to change those out and so forth. However, remember, this entire piece should be 10 to 15 minutes total, so it's really quick, okay? Any questions on the three-part drill before I move on to red word?
And you'll notice on the slide deck up there, it is linked, so cues for each of these that she just modeled for you are also on the slide deck, written out for you, how to do this.
Red words,
Next, we're
okay.
going to do red words, which is also, there's a link on there about how to do the red words, how to teach the red words.
And just a note for red words, something just to remember, red words don't always have to stay a red word. So a red word is a word that they might have to memorize or learn by heart at this point, but eventually they may learn that rule, and then that becomes a green word. So those are phonetically spelled words. So today, or yesterday, Annalie and I worked on a word, she, that we did together. That's because she had not, at that point, learned that E can make the long E sound at the end of a syllable. Right now, they've only learned closed syllables with the short vowel sounds. Eventually, they'll learn open syllables where the vowels will shout their name at the end of the syllable. So at this point, it's a red word, but eventually, and I'll show you on the map how I noted where they later can become a green word. Now, the word said or the word the will never become a green word because, I mean, you can think of it that way if you think of the schwa for the. However, it still basically becomes a red word that you just have to know that that's an E in the rather than a U in the, okay? All right, so what we're going to do today is, so Vince, we're going to pretend like you were with us yesterday. Yesterday, we learned the word she. And so what we want to do today is we want to practice the word she that we learned yesterday. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand up. Got to get our bodies moving here after we've set for the three-part drill. We're going to stand up, and you can watch me this time, and then I'll have you do it with me. So again, it's the visual, it's the auditory, it's the kinesthetic, just like she's talking about the... She's talking about the big motions. Sorry. She's talking about the big motions. This is part of that. So they want to see it, they want to hear it, they want to feel it. So they're going to practice with me, but I'll do it first. So Annalie and Vince, eyes on me. Great. And here we go. Or I would say she, S-H-E, she, she, S-H-E, she, she. S-H-E, she. Again, I enunciated that E. I kind of gave it a rhythmic pattern because the E is the one we put the heart. So red words are also becoming known as heart words because there's a percentage that 50% of English words are phonetically spelled. And then there's only like 10 to 15% that only have one misspelling, like in the word. So if you teach them to recognize that heart part of the word, that's the only part they have to learn by heart. The rest of it they can sound out. So are we ready to practice? All right, can you stand up nice and tall? Hold your paper right out in front of you. And what I show them, you write with your, here, give them a pencil. Pick up the pencil like you're gonna write your name. Great, okay, thank you. And now you're going to hold the paper with the opposite hand and you tap with the hand that you write with, okay? So you hold that out and we're gonna start top to bottom. And since she's already doing that with phonemic awareness, we're doing that here. So we're going to hold the paper straight out in front of us. Make sure your eyes are right here on the word. And we're going to say the word together and tap it out. Are you ready? Here we go. And everybody else in the crowd can do it along with us. You can pretend, you can look at my paper here. All right. If you're left-handed, that's me. And so I'm holding it with my right hand and I tap with my left. Yes, so if you're right-handed, you're tapping with your right, and if you're left-handed, you're tapping with your left. So I had to learn everything kind of backwards of the trainer when I went because I am left-handed. Okay, so everybody's arms straight out in front of them. Eyes are on the word, and here we go. Let's do it together. Say the word, then tap it out. She, S-H-E, swipe it, she. S-H-E, she. S-H-E, she. Great job. Good job. Good participation. All right. So that was just practicing the word we did yesterday, okay? Today we're going to learn a new word. Today we're going to talk about the word we. And as you can see on theirs, I put these little rings, and so I already have the page made for them and punched. So after we do it, we add it to our collection. So then as we go back to practice, we have our list of red words that we're practicing.
Do you want them to do it with you?
They don't have their
That's okay.
their
They can
things.
just
They
practice
practice.
or
Oh
doing
well,
red
we're
words.
going to write it
Oh,
first,
okay.
and then
And
we'll
then-
tap it. So here we go. Number 2 red word today is we. What you need then is you're going to have your red word page. You're going to have this lovely cross stitchery so that, again, we see it, we hear it, we feel it as we write it. The stitchery will go right underneath our paper. And I have come with Oprah supplies, and so I have a whole packet of this for you to take with you. I was like, only teachers get excited about that. Okay, so here we go. We have our paper, we have our pencils to write our sentence, and our red crayons. Okay, so we have the word we already copied for them. I do that in red crayon. On the back then I have it written, then I have dot to dot, and then I have a blank line, and then we have space for our sentence at the bottom. Now in kindergarten and beginning of first grade even, I might have the sentence written out already and we read through it together, or today we're going to write a sentence together, okay? All right, so here we go. Are you ready? Okay, now remember, where do we start our letters? We start our letters at the dot, exactly, and that's at the top. But the letter W in we is a lowercase letter, so we're starting at the headline, the midline, or the baseline, Annalie?
The headline,
Are we going all the way up to the top at the headline? We're going at the
baseline,
middle line, exactly. So we're going to start at the middle line and go down to the baseline. Ready? Say it with me as we write the letter. Say the letter with me. Here we go, everybody. W, E, and now we're going to take that same finger that we're writing with, we're going to stick up our pointer finger, and we're going to swipe from left to right, right over the word so that we feel it. So start at the W, and we're going to pop your finger right up here. There you go, hold your crayon, and we're going to swipe it, we. Okay, the hand that you write with swipes it, we. Okay, so we're holding our crayon, pop up your finger, and swipe over it, we. I always think of swiper, no swiping, but my kids are 18 and 23, and so I don't think these kids know that anymore, but anyway. So let's trace it again and say it with me. We do this 3 times. Ready? Say it with me and trace it. W, E, take your pointer, swipe it, we. One more time. W, E, swipe it, we. Now, normally W says what, Vince? W says wha. But E, what did we learn that E said so far? E says eh. We haven't learned that E can make the long E sound yet at the end of words, right? So right now we think this says weh. We have to learn by heart. So if you can make your own version of a little heart right above the E, okay? Great job. And there's our heart part of the word. Okay, now we've written it. Now we need to tap it, just like we practiced. So again, we're going to put our crayon down. We're going to stand up. We're going to hold that in front of us. And this will go in this hand. And then we're going to tap with our left hand. And starting at our shoulder, everybody can say it with us. Here's the word we. Say it with me 3 times. The word is we. W-E, we. W-E, we. W-E, we. Again, your eyes are on it, your ears are hearing it, and you're feeling it. Perfect. All right, we're going to flip it over on the back. And on the back, we're going to write it and trace right over that word again. We want to make sure it's on our stitchery. Let's do it together. Ready? Say it with me. W-E, swipe it, we. Now we're going to do the dot to dot. Trace those dots. Here we go. W-E, swipe it, we. And now we're going to write it on our own. So remember, where do we start that W? We started at the dotted line. Exactly, the middle line. Ready? Say it with me. W-E, swipe it, we. Great job. Look at that. Nice handwriting, you guys. Awesome. Okay, now we can get rid of our stitchery and set down our crayon because now we have to think of a sentence to use the word we. It's great that we know how to spell the word we, but how can we use that in a sentence? Vince, do you have an idea of any sentence we could use for we? We went to the park. I love it. I want to go to the park today. I haven't been yet this summer. I don't have any kids to go with me anymore. Okay, so let's count how many words there are in your sentence. Let's count that. Can we say it together? We went to the park. We have 5 words, and every sentence starts with a what, Annalie? Every sentence starts with a capital. So to remember a capital, over on the side, I'm going to draw a mountain, like a tall triangle. A tall triangle, just like that, Vince. There we go. And that reminds me, I have to start my first sentence, or my first word with a capital letter. And you told me there were 5 words in my sentence, so I'm going to draw 5 lines in my sentence. Ready? Can you draw 5 lines for we went, say it with me, to the park. And you want to make sure those lines are long enough to fit your word on. And we know that every sentence ends with a period or an exclamation or a question. And we call those what? Punctuation. So we're going to put a square at the end, a little square, to remind us that that is at the end there, right where the punctuation mark goes, okay? So let's count out those words in the sentence again. Ready? We went to the park. That was 5 words. But now let's count the syllables. And when we do syllables, we pound the syllables and then we tap the sounds. So I have this handy dandy little tool, and both of you write with your right hand. So you guys are going to pound with your left hand. So that is for you, Miss Annalie, and here is for you. Okay, so pick up your pencil with your right hand. Oh, sorry, I put it on the wrong side. Here we go. Here we go. I have too many things up here. Okay, you have your pencil in your hand? You have the right hand? Okay, did I have it right to begin with? I'm looking backwards. Okay, here we go. So when we're doing our pounding, we pound the syllables with the opposite hand that we write with because we want them always to have their writing utensil in their hand. So let's pound out the syllables and count how many syllables are in that sentence. Ready? We went to the park. So there's 5 words and there's 5 syllables, and that tells me that every word only has what, Annalie? One syllable. That's right. And so that means there's only one vowel sound in that syllable and in that word. Okay, let's point to each line that we just wrote, and let's say that sentence one more time. Ready? Point to the lines and just say it. We went to the park. Great. So we learned the word we already. The word we is a red word. And so how did we spell we, Vince? W-E, and we know that it starts at the beginning, and so Annalie, what letter are we going to use for the W? What kind? Lowercase or uppercase? Uppercase letter. Great. Go ahead and start it at the top line, at the headline, right up at the very tip top, since it's a capital letter, and we'll write our W-E right there in our very first word of our sentence. And because that is our red word, you're going to then pick up your red crayon, and I want you to underline the word we with your red crayon, because that is our red word. Great. Okay, let's point out what we have so far. Say it with me. We went. Okay, so went. Mrs. Cobbler's going to do my hand now, and I have these for you as well too, for right-handed and left-handed. So I need you to put your pounding hand on the pound, and we're going to pound out the word went. Pound it. Went. Then I want you to start tapping where the number 1 is. Oh, go ahead and keep the pencil in that hand, and then you're going to tap went. Ready? Went. So we pound the word went, and then tap it. So we have all of our sounds there. Now I'm left-handed, so again, I start with the thumb, because when you're tapping out your words, you want to tap from left to right. If you're right-handed, you start with your pinky, because again, you want to go left to right. So it's opposite. I messed up on that when I first did my training. Okay, so went. So Annalie, how do I spell went?
W-E-N-T.
Exactly, W-E-N-T. We just tapped that out in our sounds, and now we're going to write the word went right there. Went, W-E-N-T. Point that out one more time. We went to. Okay, to is a red word. How do I spell to, Annalie? T-O. Put that on the line. Next, we'll point it again. We went to the is another red word we've learned. And how do I spell that one, Vince? Yes, but you're going ahead and underlining. Look at you underline those extra red words. You can do that if you want to. Wow, you are with it. The is another red word, so we're going to write T-H-E, and we can underline that one in red if you want. You don't have to do that. We went to the, and the last one, let's point that out, everybody. Ready? Point the sentence out with me. We went to the park. Now, park, we have to sound out, so let's go here. Ready? Pound it with your pounding fist. This fist, yep, ready? Park. Pa-R-K. Okay, so what's the sound that makes the P sound? P. What makes the R sound? Now you know that because you are going into 3rd grade. Now, do you know it says AR? Or did you know it said AR too? Look at you, smarty pants. All right, you're going into 2nd grade, so you guys have learned that. Probably our 1st graders at the beginning of the year are going to think R, and that's okay. They're tapping it out. We haven't taught that yet. So I'm just going to do P-R-K. And again, at the end of the sound, they may pick a C, they may pick the K, but you have taught CK. Now here's the tricky thing about CK though. CK, a vowel team like Bossy R, is considered 2 vowels. Even though it's A-R, it's still considered a vowel team, and so it just ends with K rather than CK. So at this point, your kids may pick whatever. You will go back and teach that later. I'll go ahead and put a K at the end of my word. And now, to finish us off, Annalie, the square at the end, what are we going to put in there? Let's read that sentence one more time, everybody, together. Point it out with your finger. We went to the park. What would you like to put there, Annalie, in our punctuation box?
Period.
Period. Great job. Now, we could say it that way. We went to the park, period. Or I could say, we went to the park. And then what would I put there? An exclamation point. So you can demo that with them as well, okay? The last thing we need to do is we are going to cups it. I put this in your packet too. Cups is editing, and cups, they've added an E plus E to extend your sentence. So C stands for what, Annalise? C stands for
Capital.
capital. So at the bottom, on the very bottom of our paper, we're going to write cups plus E. So Vince, can you write cups right down here at the bottom? And I just have them write that in, C-U-P-S plus an E at the end. And now we say C. Annalie, did it start with a capital letter?
Yeah.
We had a capital what? Capital, what was that letter?
W.
W, a capital W. So I am going to just put a check mark or an X right over the C that I capitalized it. U means did we understand it? So everybody get your pointer one more time. Read it loud and proud. Ready? Here we go. Read it together. We went to the park. Make sense? Check off the U that we checked. So you can put a little check right over the C and put a check over the U. And now P stands for punctuation, and we ended with a period, didn't we? So do you have a period in your box or an exclamation? If you did, go ahead and check off the P for punctuation. And finally, S is for spelling. We spelled this together, so our spelling is phonetically spelled. And the last thing we can go back through is we could add an E. We could expand our sentence. So if we read that again, we went to the park. What could we add to that, Annalie? We went to the park. Maybe what day could have we went to the park? We went to the park today, or we went to the park yesterday, or we went to the park Monday? Today. Okay, so at the very end, we can go ahead and add the word today, but I won't tap through that like I would, but we can expand our sentence by adding today. We would have to then talk about moving the punctuation to the end if we added the word yesterday. When Annalie and I did it, she came up with the sentence, she is walking her dog, and she changed it to she is walking her small dog. And so we talked about adding the little caret and adding the word small within that sentence. So she's doing editing at a very young age.